Welcome back to Beyond the Build, powered by RedTeam, the podcast where we go beyond the job site to explore the people, processes, and technology driving construction forward. This week's episode is an important one. It features VP of RedTeam Go, Traci VanDalsem, and President of United Contractors, Matt Menlove. This week, they're giving tips and tricks to grow your construction company. Let's get started.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our RedTeam webinar this morning. We are going to talk about celebrating small business. It's May, which is Small Business Month. And we're going to be speaking this morning with Matt Menlove, who's been a RedTeam Go client for about the last 15 years. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about how he's grown his construction company over the last 15 years. So it should be a really great conversation. But my name is Traci VanDalsem, and I'm going to be your host this morning. I've been with RedTeam for about 15 years, but have an extensive background in the construction industry myself. And I always tell people that I accidentally fell into the tech side, but I grew up in a family of general contractors and have a master's degree in construction management and served about 10 years in the construction industry as a project manager before I fell into the construction tech side of things. And since being over here in the tech side, I've been able to work alongside contractors like Matt, helping them use technologies to grow their businesses. And so it is an honor to have Matt joining us this morning. Matt is a general contractor. He has owned a firm in Salt Lake City, Utah, and opened up an office in California, in the Newport, California area. And he has been doing construction since about 1997 in both real estate and construction. They employ about 60 employees between their Salt Lake City offices and their Southern California offices. Matt does extensive work in contracting car dealerships all over the Western United States, as well as high-end residential homes. And Matt and his brother Mark own and operate United Contractors and also have a retail development company as well. Matt has a wonderful wife and 4 kids. He's also a pilot and flies all over the place and enjoys aviation. So he's very interesting, and we're so excited to have you join us this morning, Matt.
Well, it's great to be with you, Traci. We have been through this path together for a long time, so it's really fun to get on and talk about construction, which is something I love.
I know. I feel like Matt and I have known each other for about 15 years now, as they have been using the RedTeam Go platform for about that long. So at this point in time, we're friends. And so it's always great when I get to watch how businesses grow over such a long period of time. And it's fun from our perspective as well, watching the company flourish over time. And so I wanted to see if you would come talk to us, because your company in particular has been such a fun one to watch. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us today and talk a little bit about what has been important to you for the growth of your business over the last several years, and how you've done that. So we're going to talk a little bit today, and we can talk about anything. It doesn't have to stay RedTeam specific. We know that there are tech stacks that don't only include RedTeam. So we're going to talk about quite a few things, things that were important to you in building the business, and how RedTeam had a part in that. Of course, RedTeam had a part in that, but it's not everything. And so I think for our audience, everybody wants to know, like, how do I keep doing this? How do I keep plugging forward? What helps a company to be successful? What are things that you put in place, tech stack and otherwise? You know, we're going to talk a little bit about people that you had to build around the business, and lots of other things. So let's dive right in to some of our questions this morning and start our conversation. So why this topic matters in construction is, you know, we love the industry. We want to see the construction industry flourish no matter what it is that we're doing. And so I think the topic is important because people want to know, hey, if I'm just starting out, like, how do I get in here, and how do I establish some processes that will help my business to grow over time? And maybe even companies that are already established and maybe can't get over a roadblock that they may have. You know, what are some tweaks and changes that sometimes we can make in a process that helps gets us over a little bit of a hurdle? So we're going to try and pull out some of those some of those things this morning in our conversation and talk a little bit about that. Okay, so when we're talking about building a foundation for growth with your construction company, what do you think the importance is in creating some strong processes?
Well, it's interesting. So, we just celebrated 20 years in business. And when we started this venture, it was, you have to kind of take yourself back to what life was like in 2010, when, we're about 5 years old and we were just coming out of what I call the back of your truck contractor and trying to grow into a true, organization. And in order to do that, we also had a trigger point back then where we started to do work in California. So we were stretching from Utah to California. And, again, you got to get in this mindset of what it was like in 2010. And online project management didn't really exist. It was brand new. And I think actually RedTeam Go, or formerly Pastor, was maybe 5 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, we started around 2004 to 2006 was when we first started selling in the marketplace.
Yeah, so we in that we were trying to stretch across state lines and whatnot. We decided we needed to create systems and processes that were online. That was a critical thing, and that we could all log into. So that included accounting and project management. And so, pretty early adopters, we got online, and some of the softwares that are out there now didn't even exist, and started searching, and we got, made it up with Pascal again at the time, which is now RedTeam Go, and immediately we saw the need for having this organization. And you can either go and create a bunch of spreadsheets, which I think a lot of construction companies even still do, and I'll try to use those, or you can have a process that you adopt and that you basically require that every team member uses. And by doing that, the next thing you know is everyone's doing the same thing. I kind of call it the McDonaldization of your company.
Yeah.
I joke with our team. I say, hey, we're trying to deliver that same Big Mac to every single one of our clients. It's got to taste the same, it's got to look the same, and it's got to be that familiar to them. And really, the only way to do that is to really put really good processes in place. And then once you do that, then you can, train on those processes, and then you can hold your team members accountable to following those processes. But until you do that, it is, and I'm sure a lot of people on here know and understand, it's like, it can be like, feel like you're chasing cats around because everyone's doing it their way. And they're not necessarily bad ways, but they are doing it their way, and you don't have a way for your company. And so in order to kind of really get to the next level, you've got to create these processes that you adopt and agree are the process for your company.
And that they're, what I hear you saying is standardized and repeatable so that we're doing the same things over and over again. And I'm sure that's challenging too, with having two different office locations, one in Salt Lake City and one in California. You've got 60 plus people with magic Excel spreadsheets and ways that they have done business before coming to United even. So how important was it for you? And how are you motivating your people to adopt one process and maybe ask them to change their process for the betterment of the business and getting everything streamlined to become that well-oiled machine? How's that part of the process gone for you?
Well, step one, to be totally honest, is stop and take a deep breath and realize that it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of training and a lot of effort, and to get everyone on the same page. And so just realize that. And I think one thing um, that happens frequently is the companies will adopt a software, and this happens frequently in my company, is someone, either the new comes in, or someone that hasn't fully personally adopted the process or the software, and they'll say it's broken, or it doesn't work right. It doesn't do this. And what's interesting is a lot of times it does do that thing, or, it's not broken. Sometimes it can be broken, and that's okay too, because you got to fix that too. Um, but the thing is that happens, and then it's always an interesting experience when I sit down and say, it actually does do that. Let me show you how it does that. And sometimes, to the individual's surprise, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're right. It does do that." But you do have to also get in the mindset of the fact that, okay, software engineers and construction professionals put a process in place. That doesn't mean it's the most enjoyable process for you, or that it's, the only process, but it's a process. And sometimes the other thing I tell my team is, I said, you got to think like the software, right? You don't just get to think and do it however you want, like you can on an Excel spreadsheet. You have to think like the software, and the software has been well thought through, and it's usually got the process is in place for a reason. For example, you can't send out a subcontract, right, until you have an owner contract in place. Well, that's good business, right? Or you can't send a change order to a subcontractor if you don't have a contract with them, right? And so that's some of the things that are really great. So the control of making sure that we're doing the right things in the right order, is what I've really enjoyed having in place, and it makes it so that you're not the sheriff walking around town trying to say, "Hey, why do we send a change order to the sub? We don't even have a contract." And RedTeam Go helps to put all those processes in place.
Yeah, well, you guys have had a unique situation too, where back in 2010 and we're talking about almost 20 years ago that these software programs came out, and it was very new, having construction technology in general at that time. And so the learning curve was more like, we're going from manual methods using Word and Excel and some of those tools that we have that are desktop applications, to now having a cloud-based solution. And we're almost learning, it's like learning from coming from pen and paper to learning how to use software and construction technologies. And so what were some of the signs for your business that it was time to make that change in your business back in 2010 and go towards coming off of those Excel spreadsheets and coming into construction technology?
Well, I honestly feel, kind of lucky, because we were forced to, because of this idea that we were expanding into another state. And so, had it not been for that, I think it would have been a lot longer before we would have felt the need to adopt, an online cloud-based construction software. And so for us, we were probably smaller than the average company, at least for sure at the time in 2010, that would have gone out and said, "Man, we really need this software." So we were lucky in that case. But I think, in my opinion, and especially, fast forward to 2025, the future, and what I believe is, I don't think that there's anyone that's too small, to be totally honest. And as we know, we're on the brink of another technological revolution with AI. And I think, you could be a 3 or 4 or 5 man construction company, and it's probably, critical for you to adopt a software immediately. Really just starting any company. Now, if I were to go to start a new small construction company, I would definitely immediately, step one would be processes, construction software, um, accounting software that integrates, and just getting set up for success from the beginning. So, critically important.
Yeah, you guys didn't have a 60-person team when you first started 15 years ago. What did the office look like when you were in Utah, just getting ready to expand into California? Like what did your office look like at that time?
Yeah, so we had this little place we rented, and it was like basically a warehouse, and we almost a sweatshop going on, but we only had about, I would say, I mean, we probably only had about 7 or 8 of us at the most. And And really the need too was that we were on 1209 Major Street in Salt Lake City, and I was taking off. My brother and I are co-owners of the company, and I was running a little bit more of the financial and the accounting items. And so we were basically, I was heading to California. Mark was staying here in Utah, and I felt the need, like, man, we need to have this system. And so that was kind of how it all went down. But yeah.
Um, how intentionally were you in creating and maintaining a culture at United that supported the growth that you were wanting? You were wanting to expand into these two markets, but um, it seems like you would have to be very intentional with the strategy on how you plan to grow. So how did
Yeah.
you go about creating a culture within United that would support the growth and sustainability into different markets? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love that. And I think there's a slide that, if you don't mind putting up, the culture is huge for me, and United Contractors. What it's kind of funny because soon after we started our company, we did a project, a residential project, a remodel, and our client said, "Hey, I'm a marketing guy." And I think he was being nice. Notice that you don't have a lot of good content. Would you ever trade for some marketing for part of the fee, the contractor fee? And we were like, that'd be awesome. So we went in and we went through this process. Again, we kind of lucked upon that early on.
Mhm.
And what happened is we sat in a conference room for about 3 days. It was kind of, I was surprised, like, wow, this is a pretty lengthy process we're going through. And we sat and he asked us a myriad of questions about who we were and who we wanted to be. And Richard Nordforce, who is our general superintendent, has been with us for nearly 15 years now. He I remember watching him and taking his hands, and he made this chain look with his hands, and he said, you know, we were kind of trying to explain who we were and what we wanted to be about. We were, we'd already been doing business for 7 or 8 years, but we were just ready to grow. And so we actually fed him all this information. And what this friend of ours, this marketing friend of ours, came up with was the chain that is become our logo from that time forward. And even more importantly, what was kind of cool is that we have the colors of the chain, and it's the gold, the blue, and the orange. And the gold is the left side, which is it stands for quality, and it's like we call it the gold standard at United Contractors. And then normally the logo is actually orientated the other way with the blue on the bottom than what's on this photo. But the blue, we call it the anchor, which is integrity. And what, everyone finds out sooner or later in business is, without integrity, you're nothing. And if your client cannot trust you, or if you do things that ruin the trust that you have with your client, then you pretty much you cannot maintain business without that. And so that's the anchor. And then the orange is critically important to us at United, which is innovation, because no one wants to hire a contractor and just have the contractor tell the client all the problems and all the reasons why we can't do it. Like, nobody wants that. Everyone wants a contractor that tells the client all of I'm going to use my mom was a teacher for gifted and talented youth. And she used to say, what are the many varied and unusual ways we can solve this problem?
Yeah.
And that's what innovation is we're going to find 10 ways to solve your problem, and then we're going to identify the best one of the 10 ways. So this has been our culture, like I said, for over the last 15 years. We created this quality, integrity, innovation. Now, somewhat recently, we reestablished what our vision, mission, and core values are at United Contractors. And then we created this thing that's articulated here called the promise. And what the promise is winning behaviors for our team, really, of what we should be doing. What is our promise to our client? But starting with our vision, it was funny. This conversation came about. My wife and I were talking because I was trying to come up with what the vision should be for our company. And to be totally honest with you, when I first started going through this, just to show you what my mindset was, is I was like, what's even the difference between a vision and a mission? Like, I don't even know. And this wasn't that long ago, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even get what the difference is. And I was taught, and it was explained to me, the vision is the aspirational place we're trying to get to. We're going to be failing along the way. We're going to do our best. And then the mission is how we get to that spot. And so once that was explained, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. So the vision that we have at United Contractors is that, and all these words were, it seems simple, but it took a long time, and every single word was carefully chosen to be put out there to the universe. And so it's everyone would choose us again. And so that's a universal statement that says our clients would choose us again, my team members at United Contractors would choose me again, my suppliers would choose me again, my subcontractors would choose me again, my team members want me to choose them again, and it's totally universal. And so that's where we're trying to get to. And the reason why my wife and I are having this conversation, she goes, my brother's building a house, and he wasn't using us, which is fine. And she said he hates his contractor, and most of the time that's true. I mean, it's sad, but in our industry, most people dread their contractor. They dread the construction experience. It's going to be so terrible. It's expensive. It's long. You're going to be lied to. The price is never the price. And so if we do our job right, we get to the end of the project and our clients say, I want to do that again with them. And our team members, my superintendent, says, I want to work with Matt again on the next project. And the subcontractors are happy. So that's the goal. And then the mission on how we get there is that we consistently exceed expectations through building on a promise. And what that means to me is, I always compare it to a luxury experience. Like if you go and check into the Four Seasons Hotel, you got super high expectations, right? You paid a ton of money. You want the room to be perfect. You want the food to be awesome. The beach has to be amazing. The service has to be amazing. And that's actually pretty hard to live up to. And then, I mean, all of us have gone and had a luxury experience, and you've either come away saying, wow, that was better than I thought it was going to be, and I paid a ton of money and I loved it. Or you went and you said, I paid a ton of money and it was terrible, and I would never do that again. And so this is how we get there, which is every single day, we have to do a little something more than our clients expect and surprise them in a good way. And then have them know that we've got their backs and that we're going to build on a promise. And the promise, of course, is right here being prepared, relentless, optimistic, mindful, inclusive, steadfast, and exceptional. So we've taken this and we've actually gone out and put on every one of our job sites. I mean, it's kind of a throwdown because now we've got to live up to it. And to be honest, not every day we do, right? Some days we fail. We're not optimistic or we're not steadfast, but at least we have something to live up to. And what's been really cool is I say that once we've established this and we've put it out there to our team and to the world, what happens is we have some people that magnetize towards it and some people that magnetize away from it. And that is what allows us to have this core group of individuals that believe in it, that want to do it, that care. And over time, what happens is we start to believe and live our mission, and these ethos is what I call them. And what's so cool about it is I've had lots of team members at United that come back to me and said, Matt, before we had this, I didn't really understand what we were doing, and now I do, and I get it, and I'm on board. And so this is a critical component, I believe, for building a business. So those of you that are out there that are listening, step one is figure out, why you're doing this and what you're about, what you're trying to do. And once you've established that, the rest of it actually comes a lot easier.
Well, and you've worked really hard too. You've done retreats with your team. You've pulled the superintendents into a retreat. You've done the same thing for project managers and talking about this and really making them be a part of it. It's something that they aspire to be drawn into. And I've watched your team get attracted to that as well. And it's become a destination place that people really want to be and to be a part of the things that you're doing. So I think that's really great. That's really exciting. And you have to have that buy-in, right? Within the company and within the organization. If you're going to move as a unit forward and grow, everybody's got to be on the same page and buying into the same systems, whatever they are for your business.
And another thing I'd say is it's so easy to make excuses or reasons why, like, you wouldn't do this stuff. It's easy to say, well, I only have a company with 6 people, so we don't need to do our vision, mission, and core values. That seems like something a bigger company would do. And I would submit to you, even if you don't want to become a bigger company, it doesn't matter. That's actually the most critical and important thing that you can do, because too many people wake up after working, for 20, 30, or 40 years, and it just went by, and they don't even know what they were doing for those 20, 30, or 40 years, right? Because in the end, I mean, work's work, but we've got to be kind of figuring out why we're doing this and loving it and being passionate about it. And at United, we always say we're building people and a few buildings along the way. And that's truly what we believe in, what we're doing. And it's so fun because once you get all of our people behind those ethos, you do see people growing and becoming awesome. That we work for some really amazing companies, including uh, AutoNation and these big car groups, and car companies are amazing. They are very motivational. A lot of their team members, employees are people that don't have a big education, and we also do work for Longo Toyota, which is part of the Penske group. And man, that organization grows people like you cannot believe. And I've taken all of these experiences I've had working for them and tried to incorporate them into my business. They've inspired me.
Yeah.
And when you see organizations taking individuals and giving them skills and having them grow and become better people, I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, and it makes them passionate about the company too, and there is a sense of pride and a sense of loyalty that's established along the way because of that culture that you're using to shape the people and build better buildings. Like at the end of the day, your why plays such a huge role in the things that you guys build and leave in the environment for hopefully hundreds of years, some of them.
No, and that's so true. I mean, I teach. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and I get to hang out with them a lot and talk. And one of the things I tell them, and I put out there, deemed our team members, we spend so much time at work and with our work families, and it's like if you're going to go and do something, you might as well be the absolute best at it. Like if that's where you're going to spend most of your time. I mean, it's no fun to go spend most of your time, sucking. Like, go spend most of your time doing and being amazing at what you do. And so, and it just starts, I think, with an attitude, and then getting organized, and then just a ton of hard work.
Yeah. So let's pivot and talk a little bit about technology. And we know, of course, that you invested in RedTeam Go very early on in the business as you were expanding over into California. But what were some of the other major first investments that you made with technology as you guys were just getting up and going, and even maybe along the way?
Yeah. So we have, similar to what we had back then, but we call them our core technologies, right? And so, of course, excuse me, there's always this difficulty in construction on how to correlate project management with accounting. And the industry, including Red Team Go, has come a long way over the last 10 or 15 years in doing that. And um, thankful for our accounting team at United and Red Team Go. In the last several years, we've really now got our correlation between that and the syncing between, we actually use QuickBooks, which is, a, a lot of companies our size would not use QuickBooks, but we use QuickBooks. QuickBooks syncs with RedTeam Go fantastically. We've got our field teams using all of the receipt tracking within RedTeam Go, and so accounting software super critical. Again, QuickBooks, which is obviously kind of the largest, most basic accounting software that's out there. It syncs perfectly with RedTeam Go. Um, and then on top of that, of course, like most people, but again, this was new news back in 2010, is we got ourselves established with Dropbox, where I call that our back end filing cabinet, right? So it's
Yeah.
where we keep all of our, more private stuff, and then Red Team Go is our forward facing uh, part that goes out to the world, to the to the public, and kind of even like the legal part of it. So of course that's where all of your daily logs and your submittals and RFIs and all those things are out there. And then on top of that, we in the last little bit found, this is fascinating, is as we've gotten more and more articulate, we've figured out that one of the major problems, and I'd love to hear feedback from those that are listening, in construction, is we go and we forecast what we believe our backlog is for the year, and then we monitor that, and then we look at the end of the year and say, okay, what happened and how much are we off? And last year, we had, we were in the 20+% of not achieving our forecast, and our forecast was pretty solid. And we're like, what in the heck happened? What is going on? And what we found out is it's project delay. And project delay is, it's a wide variety of topics. That's project start delay. That's you're doing projects and they're being delayed by all sorts of reasons, weather, owners changing their mind, adding scope. Um, they can be architects or engineers, bad design, so many things that cause project delay. And what that also does is it causes less revenue, less profit in the year. Obviously, what we're trying to do is be efficient as possible. We want to ram as much revenue and profit in the year we possibly can, because we have this thing called overhead and it gets burned no matter what, right? We have, and so if we can try to affect project delay and try to minimize that, there's some things that are out of our control. But one of the things we identified that was in our control was scheduling. And so we made an initiative at United Contractors to get our superintendents to be master schedulers. And that as well is not an easy task. It's another
Mhm.
big take a deep breath, and we're all going to do a lot of training and work really hard at it. We adopt another software called Outbuild, which is also cloud-based, collaborative online software. It even collaborates in, subcontractor input into Outbuild. And so between Dropbox, Outbuild, QuickBooks, and RedTeam Go, and then there's one more software that actually we use that's really been awesome, is Bamboo. And Bamboo is an employee engagement software that basically it does everything from, of course, payroll, to time tracking, to we send out surveys and we find out how our team's doing, how they're feeling, and we track that over time to see if our employees are getting happier, or or more disgruntled, and so, or less, and we then we have something we can do to counteract that if we're going off track. So those are our main softwares that we use, and it really is, a, an opportunity to take all of those together. And we don't want to have more software than we need. In fact, I'm always trying to, simplify. What more can we get rid of or take out? Um, but I think of the construction industry, and this is how we set our goals. I think of it as a four-posted stool that you need all four legs in order to be successful. And one of those is you have to have, you have to be profitable, right? You can't run I call it a for-profit construction company. That does not help. It doesn't help if you're running a profitable construction company, but then you run out of work, right? Because you've built this awesome team, you have all these things going well for you, but you were so focused on doing the work that you didn't go get any more work. And this happens all the time. And then all of a sudden, well, sorry, I got to let all my employees go because I don't have any more work. So you got to go and get your backlog, do your business development, and do all that. And all these softwares, including RedTeam Go, I mean, we can pump out a budget and a conceptual budget and a report and just be blasting those out to our potential clients all the time. And then we have to have our team members happy, right? So we can't, even if we're doing the first two things, but our team members are not happy, not feeling engaged, then that's a serious problem. And so we do all sorts of things at United Contractors. Training. People want to be trained. They want to be engaged. They want to know that their career's going forward. We also have a thing that we call our employee retention program. And this was inspired off of my father-in-law frequently brings us on trips. And I go on these trips and it's like the best thing ever. I'm like, sitting on the beach and I'm like, man, this is so fun. And this was given to me and I'm so grateful. And I thought I was literally sitting on the beach thinking, man, how do I share this joy with my team members? So we came up with a cool program. And after 3 years of employment at United Contractors, we send our teams, our team members on a $5,000 vacation. And people have been all over the world on these trips. And then at 5 years, we give them $10,000 of cash. And then at 7 years, we send them on another vacation. And at 10 years, we give them $20,000 cash. So this is on top of any other bonuses and stuff that we have because we want our team members to feel happy, balanced in their life. There's nothing like a vacation to kind of like clear your mind. And we want them to love working at United Contractors. And so that's been awesome. So the 4 posts again, we'll get back to the last one. And the last one is technology. And so it's, profitability, backlog, happy team members, and then you've got to be adopting technology all the time, and especially right now. And so we're constantly out there scrubbing the world for, technology, ways that we can be more efficient. And I sincerely believe that if you don't, then you're going to get run over because as fast as things are moving, your competitors will be using those technologies and they are going to use them to their advantage to be more efficient, more profitable, and they will run you over. So we're out always looking for new ways to apply technology.
Got a good question from one of our attendees today too. Phil, thank you for sending these in. So I was going to wait till the end, but these are good and they're right on topic. So I'm gonna ask these too. But when you're creating budgets and estimates inside of RedTeam Go, how do you spit them out so quickly? What do you use? Like, how does your team handle estimates and takeoffs, and how do you spit them out so fast?
Yeah, great question. Well, first of all, I have to give credit where credit's due, the team members, right? I mean, let's be honest. In the end, it comes down to one well-trained, knowledgeable, and caring team members who know how to use the software. So first step one is make sure you know how to use the software, which takes practice, it takes time, it takes repetition. And when I train personally in RedTeam Go, and by the way, it's totally a different software than when I first used it. Over the 10 years, it's
We've
become
made
way,
some
way better.
changes.
Yeah. And so I usually get on a video and I watch it and I actually have my other screen up with RedTeam Go and I get, muscle memory, click memory on the computer. So that's step one. Step two is if you take the time, you can go into RedTeam Go and you can make templates. And so I would suggest anyone to go in and create, the 5 templates of the things that you do most of the time. And have those line items out. You can also go in and add and actually save in quantities and cost quantities and all those things, which will make it even quicker. My own style, I always say there's like policy and process, and then there's style. And it's okay to have style. Everyone should have a little bit of style on how they do it, but you still have to follow the process and the policies. So I love to use a lot of nested assemblies within the RedTeam Go budget thing, because for me, that allows me to really know and understand like what I'm telling the client, For example, get into doors and hardware. And I'm like, I've got 27 doors, interior doors, and then I've got these four exterior doors, and I've got this and that. And if I articulate it like that, I can do a budget pretty fast. In fact, we had a residential client of ours recently, and I got on with my team, and we weren't even planning on putting together the preliminary proposal. We were a little behind to get it to him, and we got on just to talk about it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just bust this out, guys. So we're on an online meeting. I went in and I duplicated. I said, what project? This is the key. What project have we already done that's closest to this project? And it was really simple. I was like, oh, this is just like the web residence. Great. Duplicate. We already have the pretty much the same thing put together. We went through that project, actually had an elevator. The new project that we were proposing on had an elevator. So it was already all in there. The pricing was already in there, and it was pretty recent. So we went through, spent about 30 minutes, did some quick adjustments to that budget, and we sent it out to the client and said, hey, this isn't a perfect budget, but it's a ROM. Pretty close. It's going to be pretty close to this. And next thing we were off to the races, and we accomplished that task very, very quickly. So the answer to that question is duplicate your projects that you've already done. Now, if you don't have any yet in there, that's a problem. But so then go do a bunch, and then you'll have ones to duplicate. And then the next thing that you need to do is to just get and nest the assemblies and break the project down into areas that you can understand, right? How many doors do we have?
Yep.
How many
And
square
then
feet's the roof?
and save those as defaults, right? You can build your libraries of nested assembly takeoffs so that when you do create a new project, either from using the template or duplicating, you've already got the nested assembly, and then it's just a matter of putting in the quantities. And then same thing with the templates. And you can create a proposal package template in administration too, which standardizes the way that your reports look. So
Yeah, and I love that. That's that final step is what's really fun, and I loved it about Red Team Go from the very beginning, is we take that and in about 30 seconds, right? You can go from I'm done with my budget to print, email the proposal package that looks very professional, right? It has the front page all labeled nicely with the client's name. And I always say with Red Team Go is it's a little frustrating. You have to set it up right, and then it'll save you so much time. So, you're sitting there at the very beginning, like, I really have to put my client's address in right now. I don't want to do that right now. And you're like, just do it. So you do it. And then next thing you know, you go hit the proposal package, and bam, there's your client's name, their own personal address. And you do it once, and then life gets really, really enjoyable because everything happens really quickly.
Yep. So looking back, what do you look at? Do you have a couple of major milestones that you see as looking back over the last 15 years that really helped to propel your business forward?
Oh, wow. Yes. I mean, when I started United Contractors, my desire was to build an organization. And so that was always a vision of mine. Um, but so getting these right processes and systems in place was critical and key. And like I said, I don't pretend that United Contractors, Matt Menlove, Mark Menlove, that we're the smartest people in the world. We work really hard. My father-in-law says, it's funny, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I definitely believe in that. Um, and so we put a lot of hard work in, and we kind of got lucky in several ways along the way. One of the major milestones that I recognize 100% is you have to go work really hard, and then there's these opportunities that float in front of your face, and you either have an opportunity to grab them and you recognize that they're an opportunity, or they float on by and you don't realize it. And one of those is we had an opportunity during the, kind of that 2010 time where we had an opportunity to work with Ken Garff Automotive, and they gave us really our first car dealership to work on. And I remember I was out there on site with Richard Nordforce. I was basically working as the PM, the superintendent, literally the accountant, and the chief marketing officer all at the same time. And it was away from home, and we did a good job for him. And in fact, I look back on it, and we remodeled and added a service center and did this beautiful Chevy renovation in 10 months and built a small Cadillac showroom. And I look back now and I was like, man, I can't believe how fast we did that. That's amazing. Um, but we did a good job for them, and they gave us an opportunity, which then allowed us to kind of create this portfolio of car dealership work. And that was critical for United Contractors to kind of take it to the next level and gain work from other clients, and keep going. And so now, fast forward these 15 years since then, we have now built or remodeled about 115 car dealerships all over the Western U.S., doing every brand, and it's been a joy. We've built or remodeled Ferrari dealerships and Maserati dealerships and McLaren dealerships and Nissan dealerships and Honda and Toyota, and it's just fun work. And I guess I would also say that this is against my personal nature, but being willing to specialize in something has been, I think, a critical milestone for United Contractors, is that we've, established ourselves as car dealership experts. And we've done that, and repeated and rinsed that over and over and over and done a really good job with it. But it also has its pullbacks, because there's some people, particularly I think in the Utah market, that think that's all we do. And United Contractors does a lot more than that. And sometimes we have to go out and hedge against that with individuals that are building stuff. And we're like, why didn't you think of us? And they're like, well, we thought you just built car dealerships. And we're like, no, we build more than that. So that opportunity with Garf was critical. And then I think it's, business is scary, and my brother Mark and I are extremely conservative. We don't want to go and take out a lot of debt or grow faster than what's required. But you do have to just take the leaps and bounds. And there are key hires that we had at United Contractors, and I actually am not going to name any names because I've gotten smarter in my life. Is I will leave someone out, and there's so many of them, and they're all critical. And so these key hires that we've brought on that have helped kind of propel us into the next level, that have the same care that my Mark and I have for our clients, has been critical. We also, about 4 years ago, we established an executive team. And again, it almost felt a little early, but we did it. And it's kind of one of those things, like, you want to be who you want to be, and then you become that. And so we went and got a group of about 7 of us, that are like vice presidents or leaders of the company, in the different divisions. And we were able to, and we go on a yearly retreat, and we do planning, and we forecast, and we make goals. And that has made the biggest difference for us in unifying our company of who we are and what we're trying to accomplish together as a team. So I would say, the Garf opportunity was super critical. And then this next propulsion was really establishing the executive team. And then I would also say a milestone was just really solidifying our company ethos.
Well, and you said something that was really interesting. And, we run so hard and so fast, right? As contractors all the time, we're running, 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 running. We got to get the projects completed. Everything's on time. Everything's on a schedule. We're trying to keep everything on budget and profitable. How much time do you think that you spend in a year with the executive leadership team to set goals for the year? And then also with your team, in meeting with your teams and spending that time apart, because I know that you take them out of their days and you go somewhere remote where you're taking them away out of the busy and really getting them to focus. And there's a risk in that, right? We are taking them away, but how much time do you think that you spend? And talk a little bit about the value that brings to your business when you do have that focus time.
Yeah. No, it's so hard. You get in the daily chaos, and many times feel like you're drowning, right? Like, we can barely keep up with the work. How are we going to, pull people away to either train or set goals? And it's hard, but it's critical. And so what we established, one of the things that we established is our core meetings. And we wrote them down, and we train on them, and we push them out to everyone. We explain specifically why we have a meeting, what we're trying to accomplish, how long it should be, and how we should get prepared for it. And so in that, we meet monthly as an executive team, and we get a financial report from our CFO, Tyler Richards. And we also have a monthly PM meeting where Tyler gets a report from each one of the PMs, and then reports that back to Mark and I, and then to the executive team. So these are some of the, you start to get on, these cycles that you got to do routine things routinely. And but the more poignant one that I think you're referring to is, in the last couple of years, we saw fit that we needed to get all of our PMs and project engineers together and just train on a variety of things. And so we actually did kind of a fun one. We brought them all down to Lake Powell, and we sat on top of a houseboat, and we warned them. We said, we're going to be in a fun place, but we're doing like 10-hour-a-day meetings. And we did. We sat on top of a houseboat with a Starlink and a video, and we trained. And in between trainings, we ate and jumped in the water and had fun. And that was so important to get us all on the same page, especially when we have two different offices, right? That they need to correlate. And then what we started seeing is people calling each other and talking cross division, right? From California to Utah, and comparing notes and making sure that they were doing the process the right way. And then then the light went on and said, oh man, we need to also do this for our superintendents, because we got to get them on the same page too. So just this last winter, we brought them all up to Utah. There was 25 of us, of the superintendents. And we again, I warned them. I said, I know we're going to be in a fun place. We were up in the mountains looking at a beautiful river. But we worked hard for about 2 straight days, 8-hour plus meetings. We had some fun, celebrity visitors, and did a few things, and it was really fun. So those were critical. And then once a year, like I said, we go for about 2 days with our executive team, and we usually go somewhere like St. George, Utah, or different places where we're away from everything. We really take time, and we talk about the company, and we talk about what we need to fix. We train, we get into details, and then we make goals. And then we follow up on those in a monthly basis in our executive meeting. So again, it's one of those things where you have to take a deep breath and go, really? We have to do all this stuff? We can't just go build buildings? And the truth is, you do need to do all this stuff. And once you do, everything starts going a lot smoother. And you kind of get to this point where if you don't, you will fail.
How do you feel like, and I do want to take some time for Q&A, but it's so good. I knew we would get in here and we could probably talk for 2 hours, but so you've established processes, you've built a team of the right people. How have you seen having the right processes and the right people impact your profitability over the last 15 years? How has that changed for you?
Yeah. You know, it's a struggle, and construction companies, we run on thin margins. We beat each other up too much, probably, to be honest.
You're going to win that
I,
job by cutting your profit a couple percent, like a 1.5 percentage points. Yeah.
but honestly, having RedTeam Go and having the software that you can really articulate it on there in a really great way, and then you can make those critical decisions like, man, we are so busy right now, we really don't need this job. And so you can raise it up a little bit, or you can sprinkle some money across in the different types of reports that RedTeam Go allows you to do. And so that's been super important for us over the years. But being able to, sorry, remind me of your question. I got my mind off on the wrong.
How have you seen the right processes and the right people have an impact on your profitability over the company?
Yeah. So once we've got the processes in place and everyone knows and understands and can be held accountable for what we're doing, right? Then we're able to start getting strategic and running initiatives. And I'm not going to share some of my secret ones that we do. I would more be more privately, but you can run an initiative. And if you have all this stuff organized, then you can say, hey guys, we need to, for example, I see an opportunity for profit here. We need to run this through the organization. And it's way easier to do that. And then you've trained everyone on how to articulate that in RedTeam Go on a budget through a bid, and it makes it doable. Where before you're that organized, you're just kind of shooting in the dark, doing the best you can. So setting up those processes, and then you've got team member. The other thing that's most beautiful to watch is once we've done all this training, we all know what we're trying to accomplish. We start having our team members really do a great job on training other team members, right? So it starts to snowball, and they're training them in the right way because they've been trained in the right way. And as that starts happening, it starts to feel like, okay, this is actually working, right? We've put in the time, we've put in the effort, we've trained our key team members, right? We're treating our team members right. So they want to be here. And then the next thing you know is they start training the other newer team members, without us having to spend as much time and effort. But there's definitely a maintenance program that goes on where if you wait too long, right, then all of a sudden those magic spreadsheets start popping up again. And you're like, well, wait a second, we're not using those, remember?
Yep. And wanted to ask too, like in looking through some of your KPIs and reporting that you guys have created, what do you feel like is the most valuable KPI or report that you look at that guides your strategic growth and helps you
Yeah.
with decision makings?
Well, one of the things we're doing right now, to be honest, is we've got we've just had an initiative, and Tracy, you were part of it. Is
Mhm.
Tracy just did some training to our teams, very specific on the job cost report and making sure that our PMs and PEs really know how to make sure, what they say, garbage in, garbage out. So making sure that they're articulating and using Red Team Go appropriately so that that profit number on there is correct. And that they can be reporting up to our CFO and our executive team on the profitability job by job. And so that's step one, is that we've got to train and get everyone using it appropriately. And what tends to happen again is someone says, oh, Red Team goes broken because the number on there is not right. And you're like, well, guess why the number is not right on there? It's because you have not done your job in RedTeam Go yet, right? You have to update your PCOs, and you got to make sure your change orders are complete, and you got to do your internal moving of money. And now, guess what? If you do that and you know how to do that, then that number that says what your net profit's going to be on that project will be correct. So we're working really hard on that still at United Contractors. But I would say, we take a lot of information coming from all of those softwares, and we have recently gotten way better, and we've have our own, kind of magic spreadsheet dashboard that takes information from Red Team Go, from Bamboo, from QuickBooks, and we put it in there. And really what we're monitoring in the end of the day, I mean, in the end of the day, right, we want, as far as just financial goes, it's the net profit on how we come out at the end of the day. But we have to drill down. So you have to be able to drill down job per job, division per division, and find out where you may have those problems. The other fascinating one is, when we were a little smaller company, around 15 or so to maybe 20 employees, we would monitor, and we have monitored, revenue per employee, and what's the right amount of revenue per employee till people, right, are their fuses are burning out, and they're unable to work because it's just too much. And when we were a smaller company, that we monitored that, and it was pretty close to $1 million per employee. Um, and it's interesting as we've grown, of course, what happens is there's the scalability that goes on, and we get pretty close now to about 2.5 million per employee. And we monitor that very closely because again, we don't want burnout, but we also got to be really efficient. So the more that we can run per employee, the in a way that everyone can function and have a life, is the more efficient that we're being. So we monitor that. Of course, net profit per job. Uh, we also really closely monitor the schedule and delay. Like we were talking about, are we on schedule? Are we not on schedule? If we're not on schedule, why? And track that very closely. But there's a lot of KPIs, and you can get lost in KPI world pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, well, those are really great ones. I loved what you said about um, what can your people handle? Like how much is too much? And then watching the net, watching those job cost statements and making sure that garbage in is garbage out, and making sure that you've got the right information and the ability to forecast in those job cost reports being some very key things for your success. So we're at the top of the hour and our time is already gone. And I feel like there's so many more questions that we could ask, but what would you say are your final insights if you had one piece of advice to give to construction business owners looking on how to grow their businesses? What would it be?
Oh, great question. One piece of advice is to probably, um, as I've gone through the 20 years that we've been doing this, I used to think that I would feel fulfilled once I built a house on the beach in Newport Beach, or once I built a Ferrari dealership, then I would be fulfilled, right? And the truth is that all of those things come with you still are not fulfilled, just so you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so what I came to realize, and as I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and even talking to our team members about this, is the joy for me in construction, and when I do feel fulfilled, it's in doing a job really well. And it comes down to really back to our ethos is that if at the end of the job, let's say you remodeled a bathroom, and funny enough, I actually love remodeling bathrooms. Like I really do. I would do one tomorrow. It's not the greatest business plan in the world, um, but if you remodeled the bathroom and the subcontractors you work with had a great experience. The homeowner loves their bathroom. The bathroom's beautiful, and now you've gained a friend. Now you're good friends because you remodeled their bathroom, and everything looks beautiful. You made money. The finances were right. You ran the job really well in your software, and and to me, that is where you actually find joy in this business, is doing really good, high quality work in a really good way. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, it's more how you're doing it. So that would be my advice.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom today. And I've told you this last week when I was with you guys, but it's been really fun, I think, for me over the last 15 years that I have known you me being on this side of it. Of course, I'm not in the nitty gritty every day, but just getting to watch the growth and the people that you employ and the success that your business has had and the beautiful buildings that you do produce, but the way that you care for your employees. There's a sense of pride that I have on this side that I was not expecting to have for you as being one of our clients here at RedTeam. But it is one of the fun things that I love to get to do with my job here at RedTeam is get to have the relationships with our clients. We care about your business. We love that you've had the success that you've had over the last 15 years. And we're just going to keep watching what comes ahead. There are great things in store for you. I know I've seen a little bit of your backlog. I know what's coming up. So it's just really fun, and I'm really proud of you for the work that you've accomplished, you and Mark, in setting up the business. And your people are fantastic, and it has been a joy for us to get to work with you at United over the course of the last few years. So as we close out today, we've posted up here for you guys some QR codes. If you want to learn more about Matt and his team, you can click on these QR codes for some more information, get some directly with them. And Matt, we may have to have you on again. There's so much more that we didn't get to. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
have
Well,
webinar number 2 coming up in our future.
I do have to give my plug, which is that we've been, committed to Pascar and now RedTeam Go for the last 15 years. There are good reasons for it. It's actually reduced our employee count that we've been needed, particularly in accounting and in making sure in following up on verification of a lot of things. Saves a ton of time and effort. So we love RedTeam Go and we love the way that they take care of us. We keep choosing them again because they treat us so well. So we're grateful to be part of the team.
Yep, and we're grateful to be part of your team as an extension. So thanks everybody so much for joining us for today. Thank you, Matt, for your time spending with us and sharing your words of wisdom. And we hope to see you all on the next webinar series we have in June. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks again for listening to Beyond the Build, powered by RedTeam. Before we wrap, if you'd like to connect with today's guests, you can find Traci and Matt on LinkedIn, linked in the show notes. And if you're exploring ways to bring more efficiency, alignment, and growth into your business, we'd love to connect with you as well. You can learn more about how RedTeam supports contractors through solutions like RedTeam Go and RedTeam Flex by booking time with our team. Finally, a big thank you to Matt and Traci for sharing their time, insights, and real-world experience. Conversations like this are what help move the industry forward. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts for more episodes, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Build.